تست قسم إسرائيل تست 100 هلا 100 هلا ومرحبا. Hallo an alle. Ich sage ganz kurz wegen der Corona-Regeln, bitte alle Masken tragen, bitte Abstand halten und maximal zu zweit zusammenstehen. ونقول 100 هلا بالحبايب بالكل اللي بيعرفوني 100 هلا واللي ما بيعرفوني اسمي أحمد العقاد. أنا فلسطينية من الأردن والعراق ونرحب فيكم كلكم وإذا إحنا مش حبايب إن شاء الله نصير حبايب. جهزت لكم اليوم زغروتة فلسطينية استوحيتها من فرقة العاشقين الفلسطينية ألقوها في حفل بعمان بالتسعينات. اللي ما بيعرف الزغروتة الفلسطينية أو الشامية اسمعوا منيح. ايه ويها وبنفخر فيكي يا سارة، ايه ويها من مصر لكل حارة، ايه ويها وبعملكي من النصر قربت عينينا، ايه ويها وروحكي ساكنة للأبد جوانا. ايه ويها حبايبنا 100 على 100، ايه ويها لا القلب يرجف ولا الزنود مرخية، ايها رايدين الحياة وتدمير الذكورية، ايها ورافعات العلم 3 امتار وشوية. So, دانيا نرحب بدانيا. sagen hallo an Dania.
Hi. A year ago today, Sarah was still alive. She was in her exile, feeling alone, rejected, and a lot of emotions that we will never know. And if only one person was there to save her on that day, she would have been here with us celebrating Pride Month instead of us mourning for her. Sarah didn't take her own life. Depression did. And that depression was caused by the horrible things Sarah had to face in prison and after that in her exile. Sarah didn't choose to end her life. I mean, who would choose to die if they were living in a happy, healthy, and safe environment, huh? Who would choose to die if they were embraced and accepted by their family, friends, community, and government? No one! All human beings have the instinct to survive. We all want to live, love, learn, and grow old with the person we love, happy and healthy. But we don't all have that privilege, do we? Queer people in the Middle East and North Africa have none of these privileges at all, and neither did Sarah. It's the rejection, the discrimination, the hate, the violence, and the homophobia from both the government and society what killed her. It's all of you, cis heterosexual allies, who saw her get arrested and did nothing about it. It's the cowardness and the ignorance of people that got Sarah and still is getting all of the other Sarahs in the Middle East and North Africa killed. Why? Why seeing 2 adult people in love is forbidden, but taking your child out of school and marrying her off to a stranger is okay? Why marrying your daughter to her rapist is okay, but to the girl that loves and takes good care of her is not? Why accepting your pedophile family member is okay, but if 2 adult people have consensual sex, it's disgusting? Why choose hate when you can choose love? Isn't that literally what your God is telling you? Why loving one gender is okay and the other is not? Isn't love love? Queer people are not asking for your validation. We already know we're fucking valid. We're demanding your respect to be treated no less than any other human being. We're no less humans than you. If anything, we might be even better because we chose love and you chose hate. So you tell me. Sarah may have forgiven, but we will neither forgive nor forget. We will keep this fight for Sarah and for all the other Sarahs in the Middle East and North Africa who can't fight for themselves, and so should you. Use your fucking cis heterosexual privilege to make up for that mistake that killed Sarah, and make sure no other Middle Eastern and North African queer person has to go through the same thing ever again. Don't wait until it's your son or daughter or brother or sister who's going through all of that, because they might be already going through that but are too scared to tell you. So fight and speak up for those who can't before it's too late. Rest in peace, Sarah. I wish you didn't have to die to experience peace. We love you and we will always remember your name. And to honor your legacy, starting tomorrow, the 13th of June, is officially declared Day of Visibility for Queer Women in the Middle East and North Africa region. I will say it again. Starting tomorrow, the 13th of June, is officially declared Day of Visibility for Queer Women and in the Middle East and North Africa region. Spread the word and stay safe, my darling queer friends everywhere. Thank you.
Check. So first of all, I'm Sasha, non-binary girl from Syria. I'm an Arab gay girl. So I'm shaking, you know. So they asked me, why do we have Pride Month? Why do we feel that special if we want to be treated normal like them, heterosexuals? Forgetting the decades we've been fighting to prove our existence and our right to live. Forgetting that some of us are forced to live the life they didn't choose. Forgetting how many of us tried to change after they forced us to feel ashamed about who we are. We're standing here today as gay Arabs. Yeah, you heard me. We are gay Arabs. We're Arabs. Yes, we are from the conservative, homophobic, patriarchal society, and that's why we're standing proudly together. Remembering all the ones who sacrificed their lives for us to live free. Sarah Hegazy, we all know her. We're standing today for you, Sarah, because each one of us was in your place one day. Each one of us get tired of this hate, and words cannot describe. I'm sorry. But thank you, Sarah, for being that brave. Thank you, Sarah, for pushing me and pushing us to fight even more. And I promise you, this fight won't end. It won't end until we reach justice for you and all the queer in the Middle East and North Africa. Thank you.
ونعيد ونعيد فينا نحمل الصخر فوق الجبل ونرمي ونعيد 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 فينا نفتح عينينا لما يرموا في أطراف اللون لسه شايفين فينا نرفض ناكل بعض لو الناس شاف المطار اللون مش جاني
Lina, are you ready?
Hi. So I'm really nervous. Bear with me. Okay. So, like you heard, my name is Lina, and I use the pronouns she, they, auf Deutsch sie, they, وبالعربي Lina or هي. Today I stand here realizing the immense privilege and opportunity I am granted as a POC Arab queer identifying person. Oops. I stand here as someone that was born in Egypt, el Dunya, if you know, you know. As the child of an Egyptian father and a German mother, as someone that had been questioning and knowing their identity for so long, and after 24 years and somewhat clarity, I can let my voice be heard today. I want to begin by saying thank you to all of you for yet taking your time and listening to us Arab queers. Wherever you are, if you're watching or if you're here, and thank you to the organizers, because without you, we wouldn't be standing here, listening to each other. Most of all, I feel the urge to say thank you to Sarah Hegazy. To say and hear her name is such a big and meaningful reminder to our Arab queer community. It is a reminder that to be alive and somewhat safe is a true blessing, beyond the anxiety and fear we still carry in our hearts every day. When I think of Sarah and her life, I feel many things, and honestly, I feel even more saying her name today and loud, Sarah Hegazy. Sometimes all I want to do is to fall on my knees and cry. Cry for her, cry for the injustices, the arbitrary violence she endured, and all that for living her truest and most honest self. knowing there are many others suffering under this kind of oppression is the deepest running pain of the Arab queer community. In those times when I feel like crying, I allow myself to mourn, but I also realize the freedom and privilege I am granted. All that by chance. I get to somehow freely express myself and follow my heart, at least when I'm in Germany. When I'm in Egypt, I carry my identity, but it's also a secret. My truth is buried under the horrors I've read and heard and seen. And even standing here this very moment is scary. Writing this was scary. But again, I have to remind myself of the privilege I have. I do not want to rest on these privileges, on the fights that have been fought before, for our community, for me to feel this amount of freedom. Freedom. We still have a long way to go. Today I stand here alone because my friends and family couldn't be physically here, but I look around and I know I am not alone. I know there are people that know exactly what I mean when I talk about a fear that numbs your soul. Let today be the day we acknowledge Sarah's pain and suffrage, and tomorrow we celebrate. Let us be strong, not only as individuals, but as a community, as a collective that is especially in the Arab world, rejected, exiled, hated, arrested, stigmatized, and under extreme violence, mentally and physically. We are the living proof that BIPOC, LGBTQ plus community is here and alive. Arab queers exist. Asian queers exist. Christian queers, Muslim queers, Jewish queers, we all exist. We come in all shapes and forms. We are disabled, we are blind, we are trans, we are non-binary, whoever, wherever you are, know you are valid and not alone. You might not be able to fight your fight, but we are here and we're fighting for you. We know our privilege and we're fighting for you. We are all human, and we not only deserve love, acceptance, and tolerance, but we deserve visibility. Decolonizing and defetishizing the queer imagery is our first step of visibility. Broadening people's horizons, claiming our space in this world because we are valid and deserve a life without prejudice and judgment. We deserve to be seen as part of the diverse human. Lastly, I want to say something to the communities I belong to, which is, as an Egyptian woman, I want to say, als Ägypterin möchte ich mich bei denjenigen bedanken, die dazu beitragen, dass queere POC-Menschen wie ich hier in Deutschland einigermaßen mehr Freiheit, zwar nicht immer, aber oft genug, erleben und sich sicher fühlen können. وكألمانية أنا عايزة أعتذر لكم للعنصرية وللكره وللاck of تفهيم ليكم. كلنا نستحق الحنية والحب بدون أي شروط. Thank you.
للناس اللي على اللايف ستريم هلا رح يصير في بريك احترام لخصوصيه تمام. Never mind. يا راح نكمل تمام. يلا.
Hi. Can you hear me with the mask on? Last year when I attended Sarah's memorial in Amsterdam, I felt so many different feelings at once. I felt anger, frustration, and sadness, which I still feel to this day. When I had the opportunity to speak during the open mic session, I spoke about how when I was growing up, I felt unheard and I felt wronged. I talked and I even yelled about how as queers of color, no one ever mentioned us during talks of the LGBTQ plus community. It was all very whitewashed and it was suffocating to be watching from home in Palestine knowing I could do nothing about it. So it feels surreal that I am able to speak here with other queers of color and speak about whatever we want. So we should take a moment to appreciate this. When I was thinking of something to write for today, initially I thought of writing some form of educational piece for the German people who might or might not show up. There was always this idea that it is the Germans who need to understand what is going on to help. And in a way, yes, they do need to know because it is their tax money and their politicians who are in many ways funding our oppression as queers of color. The politicians who have diplomatic relations with the same governments that oppress us and torture us and then make the process of seeking asylum a living hell. Recently it hit me though, through conversations with friends, that not every event or space that we create needs to be catered to white people or white institutions. This space is for us to mourn if we want to mourn, to cry if we want to cry, or to laugh together if we want to laugh together. And especially since last month, I am exhausted of having to justify my existence to people who project their white guilt on us as queer Palestinians. Reading headlines such as militant Palestinians attacked Israel when the opposite is true. I am tired of Germany's bureaucratic violence, which paints me as stateless while glorifying Israel's settler colonialism. And I am mostly tired of the world's mafia, the imperialistic West, dictating and policing our countries and affecting all aspects of our lives as people of color. Queer Palestinians are painted as ignorant for supporting their own community because Israel is the Middle East's LGBTQ plus haven, while Palestine is painted as homophobic. LGBTQ plus rights matter to Israel only when it comes to defaming Palestinians. During Pride Month, queer people are used as pawns to patter the image of Israel and bring in American and European tourists to bring money into their economy and at the same time show the world how progressive they are as they celebrate their commercial, heteronormative parades. While not even 70 kilometers away, queer Palestinians are being blackmailed, displaced, jailed, and killed by the occupation. So to that I say, fuck your pinkwashing. And fuck the idea that as queer people we have to support any entity that has queer rights on paper. You will not buy us that way. The reason why queer people are always leading the fight wherever we are is because we understand inherently what intersectionality means, growing up with different layers of our identity that are intersectionally marginalized. We do not only demand rights for queer people, we demand rights for all people. The occupation is the opposite. The occupation demands displacement and death for all people. If your activism does not include a free Palestine, then we don't need your whitewashed activism. As queers of color, Palestinian or non-Palestinian, we come to Germany and other Western countries to take refuge and live out our identities without fear of being hate crime, jailed, or killed. We come here with these expectations only to find out it was a scheme. The epitome of our rights are defined by our ability to take part in the institution of marriage and rainbow capitalism. But when did either of those protect us from street violence and police negligence, both of which happen on a daily basis? And even in the cases where we do find some sort of safety in diaspora, we rarely find inner tranquility. The trauma and emotional violence that is inflicted upon us throughout our lives is carried along with us. Sometimes we tend to forget how deep our emotional scars are growing up in a world that despises our existence. We blame our stress and anxiety on everyday life when much of us stems from years of emotional abuse and religious trauma that we had to go through, fearing our own families and their conditional love. And I think about all of this when I look at the picture of Sarah with the rainbow in her hand. It has a great amount of power that no any other photo can match, because she spoke for all of us who are or were living under an oppressive, conservative religious regime. Each one of us who was or is afraid to show themselves with pride, in that moment she was full of pride. When I saw that picture for the first time a few years ago, I didn't know anything else about Sarah. But it gave me a sense of hope, because my young self, who was struggling with his identity as a child, had never thought I'd grow up to see someone full of courage raising our flag in a huge concert in Cairo or any Arabic city. And no matter what the Egyptian state has done or will do, they will never be able to take that moment away from us. And I consider that as a victory. Sarah was a person who loved the world in virtue and beauty. When she left us, she left a note that read, "To the world you were cruel to a great instant, but I forgive." And what is more powerful than having the strength to forgive an entire world who wronged you and did not deserve to be forgiven? She might be gone, but the legacy in her fight for queer people remains. With every queer Palestinian fighting pinkwashing colonialism, with every queer refugee standing up in front of a European judge justifying why they deserve the right of asylum, with every queer person of color who feels they have been left out by whitewashed queer politics, and with every queer person standing with us today.
Amro, please to the stage, Amro.
غيرنا روض قصير لا يتحكم بالمصير، نحنا من نسيم منطير ومنرتد على التدمير، بس تتشرق بسؤال عن تدهور الأحوال، بيسكتوك بشعارات عن كل المؤامرات، خونوك القطيع كل ما طلبت بتغيير الوطن، يأسوك حتى تبيع حريتك لما يضيع الوطن، قالوا لك حاجة تبشر رقصني شوي، ليش مكشر رقصني شوي. علموك النشيد قالوا صراعك
of all, I want to say thanks for everyone who came here and is helping us and supporting us. I feel the love and support in this place, and it means a lot for me, and I'm sure it meant a lot for Sarah. So give it up for yourself. Also, I want to say thanks for the organizers. They did a great job to create this space. Thanks for all the work, time, and everything that they did. And yeah, can you give it up for the organizer as well? And last but not least, thanks for the people who already did the speech before me. They did an amazing job. So thanks for all of you who did the speech. So to be fair, I'm not very prepared, but I'm just gonna wing it right now. So my name is Taim. I'm from Syria, and I've been here in Germany since almost 4 years. And I want to talk a bit about how queer sexual life in the Middle East work. And I'm going to talk about it through my own experiences. And this will also reflect the experiences of many other people who lived in the region. So when you live in that region, the whole laws and structures are against you. So I used to live in the United Arab Emirates, which is the country where Dubai is. And there the law says that if 2 men or women engage in a homosexual act, they get whipped, 70 whips, and are sentenced 10 years in jail. And that was the law there. And honestly, when I wanted to go there and start my sexual life, I had to keep that in mind, and I had to use a fake identity and a fake name in order to start. Now, no one prepared me to what would come. When you start going there and engaging in sexual activity with people there, you're gonna get subjected to a lot of sexual abuse. Content note, I might mention sexual assault in this speech. So when you go there, you're mostly gonna sleep with, from my experiences, I mostly slept with guys who were much older than me. They were 40 plus years old, 30 plus years old, and I was 16 at that time. And at that time, people will take advantage of you and will use you and do a lot of things to you without your consent. And that was something that I had to deal with on a daily basis. And that was not only me, that was also a lot of queer people who used to live there. And not only that, you also have to deal with the stigma from society and the fact that you don't have protection from your parents. So when a lot of these men that I used to sleep with would follow me over, threaten me, unless I do stuff for them, I had nowhere to go. I had no police, no state to protect me, and I could not go to my parents because my parents would definitely disown me. So I was alone. I was feeling hopeless. I was feeling that it's gonna be the end of the world. And it wasn't only me. A lot of people I knew had the same feeling, because people will violate you and people will misuse you, and you have no choice but to agree, because those people have the power, those people will expose you, those people will threaten you, and you just have to submit to them, especially as a 16 years old. And that wasn't the only aspect you had to deal with. You also had to deal with the fact that HIV laws and STDs in the regions are so fucked up. In the United Arab Emirates, the law regarding HIV states if a person gets diagnosed with HIV, they get deported from the country immediately, which meant that during my sexual experiences, if I get HIV, I would get deported back to Syria. And obviously Syria is a country that is in a war state, and I cannot go back there. However, I had no other way. I had to just pray to God that I would not get HIV, because otherwise there's no way to protect yourself. Even if you go to a clinic and get tested, they have to report you to the government if you're HIV positive. So that was the reality for me, and that was the reality for a lot of queer people right there. And sexual assault is something that a lot of queer people in the region have to deal with and dealt with at some point in their lives. And they are still dealing with at this moment right now. Even now, in this day, there's a lot of people there who are probably now getting sexually misused and are in a very horrible condition, the same way I was. And I don't know what to do about it because, yeah, the imperialist West, obviously, for example, when it comes to the countries such as United Arab Emirates, paints it as this liberal, progressive island where a lot of people are subjected to a lot of human rights violations. Now, the reason I mentioned this is Sarah Hegazy also was subjected to sexual assault when she was in prison, and that was something that was reported. And being subjected to a sexual assault means that you have a lot of trauma, after that. And it's something that you cannot heal from. You get really fucked up. You get really addicted to sex in an unhealthy way. I'm just talking about my experiences. You get a lot of problems, and it is something that you get used to it. It was the norm for me and the norm for a lot of people to deal with sexual assault. It was what is expected. And yeah, I don't know what was the point of this speech, to be fair, but I just wanted to mention this point because this is something that I think is important to be highlighted, that till this day, queer people, other than the fact that they are disowned by their parents, other than the fact that the whole law and structures are going against them, other than the fact that they're hated by everyone, that they hate themselves, they are dealing with sexual assault on a daily basis. And they cannot do anything to protect themselves. There is no safe spaces, as far as I know, that can protect those people. They are just there. And we have the privilege here to talk about them. We have the privilege here to say what we have experienced, because I survived this. But I don't know if they would survive this. So, yeah, thank you for listening to me. That was everything that I wanted to say. Thanks so much.
يعطيكم العافية. رح أقرأ هلا أرتيكل مقالة كتبتها صاحبتي عن سارة حجازي في السنة الماضية. I'm going to read an article in Arabic. Bsarah Hegazy von einer Freundin von mir, aber es ist auf it's in English, so it's in Arabic, so bear with me. إلى سارة التي سامحت من لا يستحق. تقول سعدية هارتمان في كتابها البديع والملهم: حياة العاصيات تجارب جميلة، تواريخ حميمية للبنات السود الصاخبات والنساء المتعبات والكويريات الراديكاليات. ترتبط العاصية بعائلة من الكلمات: المشاكسة والخارجة عن النظام والهاربة والأناركية والمتهورة والمتمردة والمتعمدة والمثيرة للمشاكل والثورية والمشاغبة والصاخبة والجامحة. شاكست سارة وهويتها النظام والدولة الأبوية، وخرجت عن آدابها ونظامها. مثلت سارة للنظام الصورة الأمثل للعاصية والخارجة عن القانون والقيم والمبادئ التي نستند عليها لنقيم دولة الأب العظمى. الدولة هي الأسرة والرئيس هو الأب. ألم يعد ذلك واضحا بما يكفي؟ الدولة هي من تقوم العاقين وتعاقبهم بهدف التربية السليمة. نعيش هذا في أدق التفاصيل اليومية، بداية من ظهورنا للعالم الخارجي بزي مخالف للمجتمع ومعتقداته، وصولا إلى تعبير عن هوية جنسية أو جندرية غير نمطية. يمارس علينا صور مختلفة من السيطرة والتحكم في كيفية سير واقعنا المعاش، في أدوار جندرية محددة وفي ممارسات سائدة في إطار بنية اجتماعية تتسم بالهيمنة والصوت الواحد والقرار الواحد. احتلال عالمنا من أجل النجاة. لنحتل العالم من خلال طرقنا الغير الصائبة وأدواتنا غير المناسبة. لنكن واعيات بالحواجز بيننا وبين واقعنا وبين أحلامنا. لنتحدى اشتياقنا لعالم لا يكون حاكمه الأسياد والشرطة والرجال والآباء. العاصيات، المتحركات غير المنتظمات والطائفات في الأفق الحرة. زيارات بدون جهة وصول ثابتة. بحر تجول فيه الفرص الضائعة والإمكانيات غير المحدودة. هجرة مطولة، استعجال وطيران، ومعاناة يومية للعيش بحرية. يستخدمن المنزعات والمنازعات والخارجات عن السيطرة أحذيتهن للسفر بعيدا عن الاستقرار وحب من لا يجب حبه. نسجل اليوم هزيمتنا أمام الدولة والنظام، وتذكرنا سارة أن مقاومتنا هي السبيل الوحيد للنجاة. وفي رسالتها الأخيرة سامحت سارة عالما لا يستحق الغفران. رحلت سارة وتركت لنا إرثا طيبا من القبول والتسامح، ومهمة صعبة في الاستمرار والنجاة في عالم لنا ومنا. شكرا. للناس اللي على اللايف ستريم هلا حيكون في اوبن مايك راوند وراح نقطع اللايف ستريم. رح نخبركم بس نرجع. في هلا للناس ما بتعرف اوبن مايك يعني اي حدا حابب يحكي اي شيء ممكن يطلع. Jetzt fängt an die Open Mic Runde. Wenn einer von euch was sagen will, ihr seid herzlich eingeladen. Wir werden jetzt keinen Livestream machen. So, the stage is yours.
بدك تحطه هيك ولا بالعرض؟ كده تمام. نجيب بقى التاني ده. هاي. هو معمول على ميوت، اول شانل معمول على ميوت. اوكي.
Hi, my name is Amro. Uh, I'm from Egypt, and I've been living here since almost 4 years now. So I guess I know exactly how it feels to be a queer person, and how almost impossible is it to express that, and how brave it took Sarah to do that. And at the end it was just a concert for her favorite band, actually my favorite band also. I came out at the same time to just close friends with at the same time almost that Sarah came out, 2017. And the 2 years before that, like 2016 and 15, I was already in the concerts for Mashrou' Layla, but I wasn't brave enough to raise the flag. In 2017 I was planning to go, but actually I arrived to Germany just 2 weeks before that all happened. And it wasn't only Sarah, like I didn't know Sarah personally, no, but I have friends that the police attacked their houses, they outed them to their families. These people are scattered around the world now as refugees. Luckily, at least, some of them were outside already before they go to prison. But why all that hate came from the society? Like Sarah herself, before all the things that happened after the concert, after her come out, she had already so many threats, hate speech, humiliation, lost people from her family, and all that is coming from a patriarchal authority that's enforcing people of the whole society to be just one version of a person. Back there in the Middle East, in Egypt, if you're not heterosexual, Sunni, Muslim, male, then you're wrong. And when you're wrong, you're danger, or you're a terror for the state. And Sarah was completely the opposite of that. She was lesbian, left, activist, political woman. So you can imagine how hard they went to stop. Like, she made them shake. But they shake the whole country, like the whole media, for the first time ever in Egypt history, after the biggest crackdown on the LGBTQ community in Egypt. Everyone was talking about the situation. Everyone is talking about the rainbow flag. Everyone is afraid that this is not from us. This is not our culture. This is not meant to be here. People started talking, families, young people, queer, allies, homophobic, but at least they talked. It was literally the first time that I hear that out loud to everyone. I'm 29 years old. Until I moved to Germany, I didn't know one single person who was a queer, proud out where I lived. I had to figure it out by myself and discover it. So there is thousands of Sarah all over the Middle East. Some of them are still living there. And for those we're here today to express our grief and our pride and celebrate her life and celebrate them and us, because they cannot express it. And some others left because it's not safe for them anymore in their homes. And they applied for asylum in some countries like Germany, for example, because it's supposed to be safe. But actually those even are not safe unless they reach that they have their own private apartments, which probably many of you knows how long that would take for a refugee to reach. Queer refugees in the first camps and the collective accommodations, they suffer from insults, violence, sexual violence, physical attacks, even attempts of murder. so many of them, just to avoid the conflict with where they are in the collective camps, just turned into social distancing, which turns to absolute self-isolation. And many reported that they had suicidal thoughts, and it was so hard not to do it. Even some of them said that they tried to commit suicide. I know that, and then after that, after the collective accommodation is done, they get allocated to some cities or a dorf in Germany or somewhere with, let's say, 5,000 Mitbewohner, full of toxic heteronormativity, closed-minded, not like to the queer accepting cities, because, yeah, you all know Germany. It's just in big cities. Even here in Köln, the queer capital, it's still, you get harassed, you get annoyed in the streets. So how do you expect these queer people, these queer refugees that are coming for you, and you want to make them productive and integrated to do it? They have first to deal and then heal from new traumas and anxiety over their own ones. I forgot what's next. So, and I know that there are so many NGOs working on helping queer refugees from the beginning. But NGOs are everywhere. NGOs are also in Egypt. They are also in the Middle East, like queer NGOs and human rights. But they didn't save many people. They didn't save Sarah. So I guess maybe it would be helpful if implementing the laws of protection against violence for those who needs it, especially queer people, queer refugees in all the federal states of Germany, not only in 9 out of 16, because only law can protect them, sadly. Or taking care where we allocate these refugees, like don't throw them into a hole where they can just suffer there till depression get them. Maybe only then we can find our queer refugees safe finally and capable of showing their potentials, because we all know that queer is full of potential. Thank you. So I also do music, so I'm gonna play some music for you, some original music. It's electronic music, so I guess let's celebrate ourselves. Let's celebrate Sarah. You can all dance, but please remember Abstand, masks, so we can finish and enjoy this weather and the music, yeah?
Dance. 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 Together. Dance. 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 Together, dance together, and we fight together. We 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 dance together, and we fight together. Dance. Fight. Dance. Fight. Together. Dance. Fight. Dance. Fight. Together. 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 And we fight together.
lack the feeling of being heard. Only then you can heal. You have the power to become your highest self and to step into your highest power. You are fascinating and pure, and you are part of the thing called life. We are together. You are not alone. We will hold each other in every phase we are experiencing. Be open to everything that comes your way. Everything that is just so little thing that's meant to be. It's happening for a reason, and someday you will understand why also the darkest moments of your life happened. You will even be grateful for them, because they shaped you into the beautiful and magical being you are right now in this precious moment. Explore your infinite power. Create your magical reality. Reigniting dimensions.
Hallo? I would like to say thank you. Danke an euch. Thank you for being here. شكرا انكم اجيتوا. بحب نشكر أينور for design تاع البنا والديزاين تاع الارت. ويا شكرا for the IT حبايبنا. بوساتي ويا ich wünsche euch noch einen schönen Tag.